I've been joined by Richard Farquhar and John Inverdale, who's a famous face that you'll recognise instantly. But Richard is walking in a very good cause. You might have heard of it. It's Walking the Courses. There's a website that you can go on to donate. First of all, for those people who haven't heard of it, Richard, explain what it is you're doing.
I'm walking around mainland Britain from racecourse to racecourse, arriving at each racecourse on the day they have a race meeting. So it's obviously there are 58 walks covering a total of about 2,750 miles. We're taking 13 months to complete the project because each race course we arrive at has a race meeting on the day that we get there. So it's logistically a bit of a nightmare, but it's a huge amount of fun.
First of all, where did you get the idea for this?
Well, the idea came really from a great friend of mine who rang me about 2 months after I lost my father with pancreatic cancer about 3 years ago. And he announced to me with great joy that he'd been racing at Great Leys the day before, as a result of which he had done all 60 of Britain's racecourses. And I thought I was a bit of a racing enthusiast, but frankly struggled to get halfway. And I'd been thinking for a while about doing something for charity post my father dying, and having reached the age of 50 and done nothing more material for charity than the grow a moustache, which I completely hated. And it was the most pathetic thing you've ever seen to boot. I wanted to do something much more meaningful. And so I guess that just sort of flicked a light bulb, really. And I thought about it for a while and hummed and hawed, and a wee while later, here we are.
A sad event, but so often that can prompt people into doing something magnificent for charity. Which are the charities that you're supporting?
I'm doing it for Pancreatic Cancer UK, which obviously in memory of my father. It's a fantastic charity who are doing some incredible work for the fight against the most pernicious of the cancers. Unbelievably, I mean, if your viewers think back to 1975, which I always put in racing context by remembering Grundy and Bustino, if you'd been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer then, your life expectancy was 5 months. You had a 1 in 4 chance of living a year and a 1 in 25 chance of living 5 years. And I'm horrified to say that those numbers today are exactly the same. They have not changed a jot. And one of the primary reasons for that, not the only one, but one of the reasons is funding. So I'm doing it for that. But I'm also doing it for Racing Welfare, which I think is a fantastic charity that is under emphasised in the racing world. It supports everybody: stable lads, stud hands, box drivers, racecourse employees, groundsmen, stalls handlers, the works. Racing is a difficult, and horses are a dangerous beast to work with. It's 12 times more dangerous than the construction industry in terms of serious incidents. And as we all know, an awful lot of people in racing do it for the love, not for the money. And when things go wrong, it's quite easy to get in a mess. And Racing Welfare is there to help and does, I think, some absolutely fantastic work. So I'm doing it for those two charities.
Two excellent charities. And John, how did you know Richard, and why did you decide that this was something you wanted to get involved in?
Well, it's a sort of roundabout way through racing, and he sent me. We were talking actually. Was it at Cheltenham? No, it was at Cheltenham, at the opening meeting at Cheltenham. And he said, "Would you do a leg?" And I said, "Yes, of course I will." And but literally, by the time I got home, he'd sent me the route, the schedule, exactly how far each leg was, and said, "I demand a reply by return. Which one of these you're going to do?" And so it just kind of fitted in with life. That I walked from Lingfield to here yesterday, which actually was a bit further than we thought it was going to be, owing to a bit of sat-nav error.
Small.
Anyway, and so I think it ended up being 22.5 miles or something like that, which is a bit further than we thought. But anyway, it's worth, over the top of Reigate Hill, some of the views were just amazing. I mean, absolutely staggering. And I just think, without being silly, 2,700 odd miles is a hell of a long way. And don't underestimate how difficult some of the terrain is. And so anyway, reluctantly, with my hand behind my back over a pint as we got to the end last night, I agreed to do a bit of the leg from Ludlow to Foss Lass next February, which happens to be the eve of the Wales-Scotland International at the Millennium Stadium. Right. So that may not be the ideal preparation for that, but anyway, I've said I'll do it. So I'm in inverted commas looking forward to it, but perhaps not that much.
You'll need to wrap up for that one, I reckon, and have some sturdy shoes.
The weather will be very, very different. Yes, I have a blister to prove my efforts yesterday. It's a blister that you don't want to see, Lydia. You just don't want to see it.
No, funnily enough, I wasn't asking. And are there charities that are close to your heart as well?
Well, I mean, I think the whole racing welfare thing is. I mean, I've been a racing fan for 40 odd years. I mean, I like to feel, I mean, this man is an encyclopedia of horse racing, but I am ahead of him in that I've actually been to 56 of the 60 racecourses, so I've got 4 to still tick off, of which Foss Lass, funnily enough, is one of them. So that kind of will absolutely, very much so. But you know, I've got lots of friends in the industry and whatnot. I know how hard a lot of them work, and I know how hard some of them are appreciated, but some of them perhaps aren't as appreciated as much as they should be. So racing welfare obviously is something that I'm very appreciative of.
Fantastic. How many legs have you done so far, Richard?
Done 5. So I feel like I'm practically 10% of the way. It really hots up though over the next couple of months. I'm doing a short one at the end of this week to Plumpton on Friday evening. Then I do Toaster down to Ascot for the Cigaro meeting next Wednesday. And then May, I've got 8 walks totaling, I think, about 320 miles. But we've tried deliberately to sort of, front load the schedule. A, because if I stick my foot in a rabbit hole, there's time to plug a gap, and B, weather or whatever. I'd just far rather walk in the sort of weather we've been having of late rather than the sort of weather we're likely to get on our way to Foss Lass, when, frankly, the only thing you'd normally expect to see up there are sheep and soldiers. So it is very much front loaded, but the pace will hot up. But I did 145 miles in 8 days doing Perth and Musselburgh, Sedgefield Redcar and Bath Taunton, and touch wood, I was reassured by how the legs were at the end of it. So fingers crossed we'll be all right.
I was going to ask you about what training you'd done, because people go off walking. It's easy, isn't it? But actually, that kind of intense walking in such long distances, different terrain, is actually quite tough.
Yeah, it really is just about getting the stamina in the legs. And that's just, I'm afraid, it's very simply about doing the miles. And I did a lot of miles over the course of sort of August through to the middle of March when I started. I probably did 1,000 miles in that period, walked home from work 4 nights a week, and then on Saturday I'd go off and do a sort of 20-25 miler. I'd set off at the start of Fighting Talk on Radio 5 and get home just as Sports Report came to an end. So that was my way of getting through the 25 miles drudge on a Saturday. But it's, as I say, it is just doing the hard yards, and my legs are now then. They don't exactly look like they used to, and they're not a particularly attractive sight. But the bottom line is that they work, and they appear to be dealing with what we're doing reasonably comfortably.
And have you set yourself a target for the amount that you wish to raise, and how far towards that target are you?
Yeah, I have. I was very hesitant about setting a target, because I think a target can frankly do you as much damage as it can do you good. But in the end, I did alight on a target purely, and it was totally unscientific. And it was driven by the fact that in 2013, pancreatic cancer received total funding from the government of £700,000, which for a disease that kills 9,000 people a year in this country and has the survival stats that it does, I think is a disappointing amount. So I guess my target became to raise more money for pancreatic cancer than the government gave it in 2013. And as I'm walking for 2 charities, my target therefore is twice that. So I'm trying to raise 1.4 million. We're currently at around 75,000. We have some potentially quite exciting news sitting on my desk in the office that I'm rather looking forward to opening tomorrow morning that I can't talk about, but I'm very overexcited. And we'll see where we go from here. But the main thing, the support that I've been getting from all areas of racing, be it trainers, owners, jockeys, the racecourses themselves, who have been unbelievably accommodating and helpful, has made, and then people like John and the media generally, it seems to have touched a nerve, and I think that's made a phenomenal difference to me and to my ability to get the message out there and to get people involved and to come and walk a leg of the course, which is the way I finish every leg, or to come and walk a day or a morning.
Can I just say one thing? It's fun.
Yeah.
Genuinely, I mean, you can talk about being worthy and everything else, but actually, it's really good fun.
Really is.
So that's why I'm sure, it's on a sort of come one, come all basis. Just if you live wherever you're watching, today, if there's going to be a race course probably somewhere near you, just go on the website, find the route, and just do it. You don't have to do the whole leg, just do a bit of it, but you'd enjoy it. You really would. There's yesterday, honestly, I can say, okay, the weather yesterday was amazing. I mean, it was just the most spectacular day. But there was almost nothing in the world you'd rather do yesterday than be walking where we were. It was just beautiful. So that's the incentive too,
And if people watching want to come along, if they are touched by your thoughts here and the money that you're raising, how can they contribute? How can they get involved? What's the website called, and what can they do on there?
Very simple. The website is walkingthecourses.com. There is a whole pile of information on there in terms of what we're doing and who we're doing it for. The itinerary is there, a map of the route is on there, and a big, very glaringly obvious red button with the word donate written on it that links directly to our Virgin Money Giving page. So, any help that people can give us will, I can promise you, be massively appreciated by two charities that clearly I'm very passionate about, but I really do fundamentally do incredible work for their causes.
Well, thank you very much. I wish you the best of luck with that leg with the sheep and the army.
Lydia, you're there, Lydia. I challenge you now.
No, fair enough. I'll have a look and see what leg I can fit in on my itinerary. No, fair enough.
Okay.
I will do. I rise to that challenge. And best of luck with
Thanks,
the
Lydia, very
huge task that you have ahead of you. You're well trained, so I'm sure you'll be fine. But best of luck with raising all that money. Two excellent causes.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.